Can I get a thumbs up if you can hear me or see me? If not, I'm just going to be anonymously trying out my watercolor set. So what I'm doing right now, this is a brand new watercolor set. I'm super excited about it. I attempted to arrange my colors in terms of like yellow, red, green, blue, and then purple and I think these are both Prussian. I think it's another blue and another and a purple. But like the cakes are so dark, even from real life, like even in here, I can't actually tell what they are. So I am hitting these up, and one of the things that a lot of times what happens is people will think about colors. They'll be like, okay, I have color, I have something I want to paint. I'm going to try to find the color to paint that object. There's another way of thinking about it. When you get like a new set of colors, you can actually use the colors. Shoot, I forgot to paint that. I mixed all that paint and then I just wasted it. No, my water's. Anyway, you can when you get the colors, you can then make, you can ask yourself, what does this color look like? What does it remind me of? And then you can search out the subject based on your colors. And it might seem like it's a little bit backwards, but it's not really. It's actually just a way to get kind of more intimate with the color. So just acknowledging the difference between the greens and identifying objects that feel like that green, rather than trying to go from an object and then searching out the color. I don't know. It's subtle, but it's just almost like a reverse engineering. Let's see what this guy is. There's a lot of water in here. I don't want it to spill over. So if there's a high concentration of pigment to water, it's like, it's more solid. It won't dry solid. Some of the paper will show through. What I'm actively attempting to do is to show dense color, high ratio pigment to low, medium and low ratio. So like this color in its density is very different than than where it's washed out. Oh, that's kind of neat. Ooh, goodness. Stacy's in the house. Hey, what's up, Stace? Stacy, can you hear me?
Excuse me?
Good. Sounds like you can hear me.
I can. Oh my gosh, is that your watercolor set?
It is.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm going off screen a little bit here, but
Hi, Kaya.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, we do have proof of life. Kaya exists.
Yeah.
I'm just going through and like trying to identify colors. Look at these last two cakes. I have no idea what they are. I can kind of tell this one's purple.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe I put all that. Look at my color. This is the reason I'm being angry. See how green my water is?
Yes.
I usually wipe out the brush before I clean, to get most of the pigment out before I clean it. And I forgot to do it on the last one. Okay, I'm gonna go change my color. I'll be right back. Stacy, did you get another package?
Yeah, I sent you a text. It's a big one.
Did you open it yet?
No, of course not.
Can we open it on the air?
Yeah.
While I change this, tell Kyle what's happening.
Okay. So, Kaya, we have been getting packages for I guess about a week now, delivered to my son, none of which he has ordered, nor have I. And we called Amazon and they said, either keep it, give it to a friend, or throw it away. So it's like so much fun opening these packages and seeing what's inside. And Trevor loves watching me open the packages. So that's what this is all about. Although I think I'm sure what this one is. I think it's something I actually ordered. But so it's not going to be really a surprise to me if it's what I think it is.
Wait, so did you order? Wait, what? I fill me in. I didn't get the story.
Okay. I
So
said,
I got 2 things of water.
oh, good.
Back up for the backup. Okay, I'm listening.
Are we doing watercolor today?
I mean, I think so.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I was telling Kaya the story, and I think I know what's in this package because it actually is delivered to me. But that makes no difference because you're going to be just as excited watching me open it.
Wait, so you ordered it?
I think that what is in here, I know, because my name is on the addressee.
Oh, right. So somebody sent it. Somebody legitimately sent it to you.
Yes, I
So it's
believe
not.
so.
So it's not a random.
Right.
Well, that's no fun. I mean, it's fine, but I like the total random. That's what's exciting to me. Did you get any? You didn't get any other random ones?
Well, unless there's a late delivery, and sometimes that happens. So I mistakenly told Kaya, I thought you'd be really excited regardless, because just watching it being opened is fun. But you just told me that's not really the case.
It's always, it's going to be like some Harry and David fruit or something.
No. Nope. If I'm correct, it's something that I've wanted to order since we've moved here. No, for several years.
Mm. Man, these colors are so pretty. God. All right, so this
I'm gonna
is
get
just
my
ultramarine. This is just ivory black. And the gouache, with watercolor, you don't typically use white. So watercolors are like by their nature transparent. And when you mix like an opaque color like this China white, it becomes gouache. And you can use it very sparingly, like at the very end if you had to put some highlights on it. But for the most part, the way you get, if you were to quote unquote add white to a color, you add more water and you let more of the paper show through. That's that's what happens. Anyway, it's still, and the way that the pigment dries relative to the paper and to like the the way that look, do you see how in this blue one it looks like miniature rivers? Like if you're looking at like some kind of aerial shot of like the earth or something from like space, that's the infinity. That's the uncontrollable. Like that's the kind of thing that like I could never design the edge of this puddle here. Like you kind of have to give yourself over a little bit to watercolors in order to like harness that kind of abstract beauty of what the paint does with the paper. So, and Kai, I don't know if you have any interest in watercolor. I mean, I haven't, I got this new set, so I'm kind of excited to use it. So I thought I would just go for it. But everybody knows to use water. Everybody knows there's pigment. And everybody knows that about paper, use watercolor paper. The element that most people don't know about is what the medium actually is. They say watercolor medium, watercolors, and watercolor is half of it. But the other half is a material called gum arabic. So the pigment is the powder of the color, and then the water is the water. What keeps these cakes together is this glue. It's a water soluble glue, meaning like it dissolves in water, glue called gum arabic. And I think it comes from the gum tree. It's very inexpensive, but very effective in the sense that you mix the gum into the pigment and it stays solid until you get it wet. And then once it gets wet, it becomes like very fluid and it basically functions like water. Then the water evaporates, the gum and the pigment remain on the paper, and the gum becomes like a glue. So it does fasten the pigment to the paper, and it's just, and it will stay that way, until it gets wet again. It's kind of like, like oil paint in a way. Oil paint won't thin out if you mix water into it, but it will thin out if you add solvents, like mineral spirits. It breaks down the chemical bonds of the oil so that it flows more free. Here, the water breaks down the chemical bonds of the gum arabic and makes it fluid. And then also, once the water is gone, it's the glue that keeps that powdered pigment onto the surface. Anyway, a lot of people don't really know that expressly. So as you're manipulating it, you can think about it like water, which I think is a little bit of a misleading. It's really you're really pushing around like a glue with a bunch of pigment in it.
Yeah, I've never heard it described that way. It's interesting.
So there's once it pools. So this part of the intensity here, this is a pool that's still, let me see if I can show you. The green. So let me just show you here. The green has already dried right here. And I'm going to get my flashlight on my phone. The edge of the pool is drying. So it is still wet. But this one, the light green, is dry completely. Let me see if I can get my and you can, depending on what your needs are. There you go. See how the red still has that pool, but the edges are.
Yeah.
The green too. So there is a little bit of moisture in the middle of that green, but and that might just be the paint itself. The dried sheen. There you go. Oh, the purple is really bright. The edge of the purple is already dried. Look at that. And so you can also hit it with a hair dryer. You can use drying. You can even blow on it for that matter. It'll accelerate the drying process. Oh, that's fun. I haven't really analyzed it quite with my phone before. So Kai, do you want to paint anything or draw anything? I kind of want to. Might make a little. Let's do it like this. I move this, or let me turn my thing off. Stacy, do you have any requests? I could.
Oh my goodness.
We could do the camel from earlier. He was so
okay.
Cool. I don't think anybody liked the camel.
Really?
I mean,
well, I didn't.
I think
there
it was
were
like
some people who chose not to do it.
I think it was like too early in the morning.
That could be.
Usually the warm-ups are like more fun, and this time it was like the camel's more work.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna let these dry.
And I'm gonna run and get watercolor paper and watercolors. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Great
So
call.
go ahead and start. I'll be a minute.
Yeah, we'll do. Okay, Kaya. So this will be. I think this will be fun. The camel is hilarious. Let me get this brighter. Settings, brightness and display. Never. The only thing you have to do is you have to suffer through this obnoxious ad. I wish I could take the ad out. I was going through Twitter and I was like, oh, that's a good camel. And I was going through my Twitter feed, except it's got this stupid ad on it. So No reflection. I feel like it's too big that way. This way. Zoom in a little closer. Where this reflection is coming from. See if I can need to make my phone brighter, if it's better or if it's more washed out. It's too washed out. Kaya, do you have a phone? Do you have my cell phone?
I don't think so.
Because I kind of want to send you. Do you want to? What's your email? Do you have our email address?
Yes.
If you shoot me an email really quickly, I'll email you the image so you can
Okay.
actually see it. So shoot Trevor. It's trevortwist@gmail.com. Shoot me the email, and then I'll send you this right back. And only so I don't have to like edit your email address out of the video. Does that make sense? In case I put it on YouTube or whatever.
And I can hear everything being said. I just organized my artwork so much that I had to realize where I put things.
Good. Oh, hello, Bellas. Have you emailed me? Should I be watching for it? Casey, I'm going to send you the image as well.
What is it again?
Trevor, TREVOR TWIST, trevortwist@gmail.com. So it's the Mitchell School at Gmail. It's the same, it all goes to the same place. Stacy, did you get it?
Did I get it? I heard it,
Okay, yeah, I texted
just
you.
sat down. Trevor Twist, I see a camel. Yes, sir.
Okay, you did get it. I got you. Okay.
Hold on, Tucky. Oh, and I have something that says my money on it. What's that? Welcome
What?
to,
Oh yeah, it's the ad.
oh,
Just the
got
ad.
it.
Okay, Bales, good to see you, bud.
Yeah, and Tucker Talk just came over.
Hello, good boy. You're looking so clean. So that Bailey got these like rashes,
Oh, that's right.
and so we've been giving
Yeah.
her baths every other day.
Yeah.
He's never looked better.
Aw, with
Uh,
a like
gonna be-
a medicated shampoo.
Yeah, yeah, the whole nine.
Yeah. Poor thing.
I know it is. It is so sad when he gets a rash. All right, here we go, camel people. Let's do this thing. Bales, good boy. All right, I think I crushed this one, by the way, when I was in school today. Stacy wasn't there for it, but I was kind of in this
I was
mode.
not.
You're buying cookies or something.
What
Okay,
about cookies?
you're buying cookies.
Yes.
All right, this is going to be key for me because I don't want to because my screen, I don't want to make it too big. All right, so Kaya, I started off with a sideways oval, and that's for the body. And so then I was like, okay, well, it's a camel, so the obvious thing that we need is a hump. So I put this like little trapezoidal hump on the top, and then when I'm doing animals, I like really try to quickly get to the head. Usually on humans, like head, rib cage, pelvis, it's like easy to get there because the neck is like, on a less impressive, just closer to the shoulders. The camel is the opposite. So there's a little bump right here, which is actually the scapula up here. So this is the hump of the camel. This little bump right here at the base of the neck. That is the scapula, which plays into it's almost like this extra part of the arm.
To it.
Oh my gosh, Stacy, I have to mute you. Then I can't unmute you. You have to unmute it.
Well, you say I talk too much and too loud, so
I
I'm going
know.
to stay muted.
I have never said that, Stacy. I've never said that. Oh my gosh, Stacy's mad. Okay, so we have the hump that's on the back of the camel, and we have the scapula, and then we have the trapezoid, which is the thickest part of the neck, and it's relatively narrow, but it goes downhill so steep, and then it's going to attach in here to the pectorals, which is at the bottom. So that's our start. And then, I mean, my goodness, like you could think about the neck in these kind of smaller parts. There's like this semicircle, and then you get the width of the neck that goes up way tall. And it just goes straight uphill. Like as far as it goes downhill, it comes across, and then for a short stint, and then it just goes back uphill again. And even hits the back of the head slightly. So from here, which I was really proud of, thinking through, I was like, I think I'm going to make the head a trapezoid. So I pulled the bottom of the jaw, the top of the snout, and then this like kind of arrow pointing nose in the front of the head. And out of that kind of trapezoid, I placed, key components. One being the ear, which is up in this corner. The other being the, shape of the eye, and more importantly, the eyebrow. Camels have like these big eyebrow ridges, and if you see where the light picks up, it hits his whole hind end. It hits his rib cage here. It hits the back of his head, which is actually red hair. Hits the back of his ear, and then his eyebrow ridge is so big and protrudes so much that it actually picks up light from the sun. It's a setting sun. You can kind of tell it's a setting sun because of how long the shadows on the ground are. It's interesting. I mean, it's not set, but it's low. It's like a low sun. So we got ears, we got eyes. We're gonna do nose, and then we'll do the mouth. And of course, the upper lip is kind of famously bigger than the lower lip on the camel. Yesterday in the Zoom class, we were sketching these goats because we were doing an alphabet, like G was for goat. And we found that the goat jaw was kind of more more like an L, like an elbow or an L shape. And if you have the email, even though it's a low res image, you can still see that the jaw is not rounded like a horse, I guess is what I'm saying. We got some of the hair in the back of his head. So we got nose, eyes, ears, mouth, lower lip, which could maybe be the chin, I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. Head, rib cage, and then the last thing, of course, is the pelvis. So the pelvis is going to be this, I don't know, it's like if you were to take like a circle and cut it into 4 parts, whatever, a 1/4, 25%. That's the pelvis. And you can actually see this. You could call it a triangle, but I like to round the edge. So that's head, rib cage, pelvis. The pelvis is small. The rib cage is enormous, enormous. And the head, I guess, is kind of balanced out a little bit. Okay, let's do this quickly. And the way I'm going to figure the leg, we're going to come down, and it's not a leg. And I know, Kai, you've been here before, so you know that like the legs are not legs on 4-legged creatures. They're actually arms in terms of the bone structure. So they're just as long, and they support almost as much strength and weight, but their bone structure is still like a human. Like a mammal has arm bones, so it's a humerus, radius, and ulna, and then femur and tibia and fibia. So let me just explain it. The main difference between 4-legged creatures and humans is how they employ the scapula. Our scapula, which is the shoulder blades, is flat on our back. And we basically, they're kind of used for like push-ups and stuff, but not for actual movement. On animals, this bump right here is the scapula, and it basically functions as if it were a part of the movement of the creature. So if this is the scapula here, then the shoulder to the elbow, which holds tons of muscle, is the next joint. So it's scapula to the shoulder, then shoulder to the elbow. We know the elbow's right here. You can actually see it. It's got a callus on it. So there's deltoids and biceps, and then there's triceps in the back. The next muscle is going to be, bone and muscle unit is going to be the trapezoid of the forearm. So it goes elbow to wrist. And then the wrist joint, I'm going to use like a circle here. It's this little nub. It's that joint right here and that joint right there. That's in fact a wrist. Then it goes from the wrist to the knuckles, where you get another joint. From that knuckles, just like in our human hands, instead of having 4 separate fingers and a thumb, they have one kind of fused finger, and they might even have 2. I think camels have like 2 toes, but the point is the same: is that the joint from the knuckle into those tips is essentially like one fused form. Oh man, I love how long I made those legs. So I sketched it on the chalkboard today, and I had to make the legs small in order to fit on, and now I'm going to make the legs long. All right, so shoulder to elbow, intense muscles in here. There's the armpits. There are the pectorals, which are the chest muscles that allow him to do all the push-ups. And then with the elbow right here, we're going to do the next leg, and we see a little teeny bit of the bottom of the elbow right there. So if we have forearm joint, palm of the hand joint, and then fused finger, let's just do that same thing all the way down. So we'll do elbow to wrist, we'll get a trapezoid, and then wrist to knuckles, we'll get another joint, and then those concave into a fused foot. We do typically, if you follow the shadow along, in theory, the far side leg would be a little bit higher than the leg that's closer to us, and that is the case, which is kind of nice. Did I bump the camera? There it goes. All right, I promise we're gonna get to paint this. Good God, it's already 2:37. All right, this is the part that was the most exciting for me. It is this epic back thigh of this camel, and it looks almost like a huge rectangle or trapezoid. And I think they spend a lot of time getting up and down from their knees, because it looks like there's these big calluses right here. So it goes hip to knee, and then we'll do knee to ankle. You can tell it's the ankle because of the Achilles tendon. I mean, you can just see that wild, and we have Achilles tendons. It's just wild how big it is. Heel to the ball of the foot, which will get another joint, and then all those toes will be fused, and I'll turn them into this kind of like flat disc. I was explaining the look how low this little foot is here. I think the leg is really far extended out. I think he may have been pushing off in an awkward way, which is why it's so big. But the flat surface area of the bottom of the foot is so important, so that they don't sink into the sand. All right, hip to knee, knee to ankle, ankle to the ball of the foot, and then a fused foot there. I wonder if I made that leg a little too long, perhaps. Worst things in this world than making camel legs too long. Love this shadow coming from his toe. I'm not exactly sure. There's a road here, which might be important for background. Looks like there's some desert sand, which could be an important layer in the background. It looks like there's some like hills, some sand dunes, and then some distant sand dunes. And then we got sky. Just going to fill in the distant sand dunes with my pencil just so I can. They're so dark that I might even be able to cover them up with my pencil, or paint it the same color with my paint. Oh, fit on. I zoomed out slightly so I could fit everybody on the page. Now that I've found those shapes, there's this idea of what I call drawing the drawing. And that is when you lose your construction lines and kind of focus on some of the details, as well as the silhouette, so that you know better where to put your paint. Cool. So I got some mane going on back here. I do like that he's got some wrinkles in his neck, and I think there's a lot of flexibility in his neck, where one would, it's almost like where there's like loose skin like on your thumb, because you can move your thumb all around. It needs that mobility. I think the camel's neck, in order to bend over to get water, drink from pools on the ground, what have you. Anyway, just trying to clean up my silhouette lines. Looks like I can use some lines here in the armpits. But my goodness, look how narrow. His legs go really skinny, like way skinnier than I had them.
Excuse me for speaking for a
Sure.
moment.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, the legs almost look too thin to support the body. That's all.
No, I know. I mean, they kind of look like that in the actual piece, like an actual photograph. Ooh, look at me. I just left out the tail. Zoom in on the tail. What is with that tail? Hmm. Well, it's a tail. I guess it comes about halfway down and then it starts to turn into fur. It's a lot of fur. Reminds me of it reminds me of like an elephant tail. Just a little shorter. Got some interesting fur on his hump. What am I missing? I feel like I'm pretty good. Think I can start painting? Maybe his neck isn't quite as big, but look at that thing. Camels are so interesting. Stacy, have you ever ridden on one? Yeah, I never have. Kai, you ever ridden on a camel?
No.
I rode on one at the Renaissance Festival, but I never rode on a camel. All right, party people. This is about to get real. I'm gonna try and squeeze some of this camel in here so you can see it. Oh gosh, I can make it brighter. Is anybody scared? Actually, now I'm scared because I can't find my brush. I got it. Got my colors. Whoa. Okay, well, there's a thing called mix slowly so you can paint quickly. And I'm looking at this orange here. I feel like that orange shows up in the back of his head, shows up in his rib cage, back in his hump right there. I can see there's like a little bit of yellow. So I like my yellow ochre. That's the darker of the two yellows. I'm not really seeing this bright yellow anywhere. And the camel is about the same color as the land, except he's a little bit darker. So I'm gonna have to mix the, this black, maybe even a little bit of the purple. If you look at the purple in the corner, do you guys see a little bit of magenta? It may be in the shadow a little bit. Like in that neck, I feel like there might be a little bit of purple in there. Anyway, so this ivory black kind of functions like a blue. So if my orange mixed with the black, maybe orange mixed with the purple, because purple is just red and blue. So if this is like, if I mix the ivory black into my red orange, it's gonna make a version of purple. But I think a bright purple might actually be really pretty in some of these areas. I'm seeing like no green. I'm maybe seeing, maybe there's green back here, like very quietly in the distant mountains. The bright blues, maybe in the sky. I think the sky in real life was probably much brighter than the sky in this picture. It's like a faint, soft blue. So I think it wouldn't hurt if I was a little bit more bold with the blue in the sky. So as far as my colors go, I think I'm going to focus on this orange up here. Maybe jack it up with a little bit of red, but probably not. Probably just mostly this orange, this yellow, and that black. So by limiting my colors to 3, and then I can do the sky, which will be that blue, and maybe an accent of purple somewhere. I'm making my colors work for my camel, which which should be the plan. And we'll just see what this water will do. We'll just see, like, I'm not even worried about detailing it. I'm just going to try and mix right colors and try to keep them in the lines. That's kind of my focus. So let's give this a go. You guys have any questions at this point, by the way? Does that make sense as far as the strategy goes? It's not brain surgery, but it takes a little bit of forethinking. So you all, you guys have the image. So I'm not gonna be able to show the image and the paint at the same time. So let's just try to, I have my colors, and I'm gonna maybe I'll zoom out even a little bit more, just so I can have the tester sheet. So you can see these colors, and I'm gonna test along the side here, which is, not more than, it's like more than normal. It's like kind of what you have to do in order to get something to work. So here are my watercolors. Hopefully it's bright enough. I might have to add a little bit more water to my cakes have already already dried out a little bit. So there's my red, my yellow. This is the orange up here that I'm definitely going to use. There's my purple down here. Maybe my sky blue will be right there. And then I'll mix up my black too, so I can knock that color down. The dark blue or the ivory black, it can be like so strong just because it's such it's the darkest really that this picture is able to go. And it's a watercolor, so watercolors are usually a little bit lighter, a little bit more upbeat. So I think I may use some, but I may kind of take it easy. One of the things I really like to do too is, like, you guys, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm anticipating the sky. Skies are like really diffused and soft and ephemeral, and there's not a lot of bunch of strokes, especially in the subtle sky like I just made. So I'm just gonna put some water down in the sky just to see. And I might put a little water spot over on this side too, just to like make sure I'm not going into dry paper when I lay it in there. So I'll come back. Okay. So just to let you know, I have my, oh, there's my, Kaya, there's my camel from the class. I feel like the camel I just made is a little better. But the point here is that you can really see the shadow areas and the light areas. So in the, all these areas where I did the yellow and the chalk, those are the areas I'm going to try to protect really intensely from getting too dark, because I really want these light areas on the camel to stand out, and they show up on the back of the leg, you know, on his hind legs and his belly and stuff. Okay, so let me put this back. Okay, so I'm looking at it even though it's off screen. I might start off with a little. There's my yellow. Here's my orange. Ooh, aren't you glad I got my burnt sienna? So burnt sienna is really kind of a neutral orange. And then here's my ivory black. So I need to see if I can figure out a combination of colors to make something that resembles, you know, the shadow tones of my camel. So I just mixed the brown and the black together. The brown is the burnt sienna, you know, the orange color. And I generally start off with thinner washes, and I can always go darker. And these are kind of more the colors even that I'm seeing in the lighter areas. So again, with watercolor, you can always go darker later. Start with more water and brighter colors, and you can knock things down. With oil paint, it's usually a little different. You start with your darks and, you know, and keep adding to add to your lights. Okay, so with the underside of the belly and this back leg, I can go a little bit darker. You know, this front leg, I realize that it's got some brighter areas. Maybe I just add a couple bright areas. There's a, you know, the back of the neck has some brighter, bolder orange. I love that. I love the color of the back of this neck. Maybe the back of this lower leg here, perhaps the foot down here. Just kind of identifying where some of my lighter areas are. Definitely in the tail. Just because I don't want to miss them. Like I don't want to come in with my darks and be like, oh no, I forgot about that light area. Cool. Do the ear, maybe even do that little dot that I said on the back of his eye. Wow, he kind of looks nice. It already looks nice, doesn't it? I didn't even do anything. It's like one color. Like it just goes to show you that, especially with watercolors, the drawing is so important. When you have a good drawing, it's like the thing paints itself. Okay, let me attempt to achieve some of these darker. I'm gonna maybe try a little bit of that purple even. Ooh, you know, my base color really is this orange. I'm really glad I found that. I'm really glad that we have that. So I got my blue, purple, and my orange. Now I have to just basically find ratios of, you know, pigment that, you know, look like my camel in these dark areas. And the nice thing too about colors is that you just have to be close. Color close counts. Oh, boom. It's back leg. Get that guy pinned. I'm just coloring in the lines. The bottom of his belly. And I'm assuming that the lines are part of the camel. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but the the outline I'm gonna assume is part of the camel rather than, you know, being the edge of the background. Stacy, did you have your hand up that you wanted to say something?
Never mind.
Okay. There are some lighter areas around the armpits and on the belly that I think, you know, I think it could be, I think even this lighter gray might even be a little bit too dark. So I'm just gonna be a little bit careful. Gonna make his face a little bit lighter, and then I can always go back in and darken it up. And this brush, you know, for this size painting is probably a little bit big. It's all said and done. I love his the dark notes on his tail. It might be a little bit bold. Oof. A little bold from where we are right now in this piece. Some important landmarks that I think are interesting are the knees, some of those joints. All right, and maybe even some of the shadow that's on the ground. So we know that this camel is dark, up against the light. So the background is, you know, pretty light. I'm going to do a little bit because we're getting kind of close to the end, but I'm going to do what's called punching your darks. And that's when you kind of go look around and see where are some of the darkest elements of the picture. Like I'm seeing it in the eye, see it in like the mouth and the nose, and just like plop that in there. Important areas. See it in the armpits, you know, on that backside leg. Seeing it in the joint here. So I'm just going to add a couple dark notes just so that I can have that final contrast before I go into that background. And I see it in the Achilles heel, even in the toe here. Toes plural. Front of the front of the feet, front of the toes. Oh, and the feet look like they're even a little bit darker even than the shadow. Okay. So I just for fun, I'm pushing the yellow and the orange of the background a little bit. So I'm going to do a couple washes behind, because I really would like to almost encapsulate our camel in you know, some sort of background, whether it be a texture or just a some color variations. And then I'm also kind of excited to do the I kind of want to get those the sky in there. Remember I was talking about that gray? So I just took the black, I mixed it with the water, thinned it out completely, and I got like almost like a pencil gray for those distant mountains. And that works. So I kind of knew that when I decided to add some more pencil. I need something to differentiate the ground. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue, because I kind of want a light gray for the ground, and I want it slightly cooler than anything else, because it is more of an asphalt. And if you don't use my colors, then it's your own asphalt. If it doesn't work. Oh man. So one of the things that I'm seeing here that's really, really important. Kai and Stacy, if you want to look up here, I was using this up here. I don't know if you can see it, but I was using this little pool of mixture up here, and I keep touching the same spot with my pencil, with my brush. And then do you see these dark notes that are in these little chunks of dark that are in my asphalt? Well, what that is it's called beading. And when you paint the same spot over and over again, you wind up loosening up fibers of the paper, and they become like spitballs, like actual spitballs. And I did it as a palette up here. Some people, when they're working on stuff, they'll paint it over and over and over and over again. And then you damage the paper, and you get these kind of spitball effects. And yeah, I didn't mean to, but I'm almost using it in the asphalt. But they're not going to stay there. The glue isn't strong enough, and they'll just fall off in the end. So it's in using the paper as a palette. That's one of the problems with it, unfortunately. But there's more paper. I just have to keep it on screen, and I could have used a little piece of plastic or something. I just think it's interesting. It's a way to teach you the lesson about how the paper can negatively be affected when you brush over the same place over and over again, without actually having to ruin, without actually ruining my piece. Let's see. All right, so just grabbing this blue up here. I'm gonna add a nice soft blue. Remember, we had moistened the sky area in the beginning. So this water that I'm putting on is not, it's not the first time that it's received any, it's still damp, dried, slightly dried, but damp. And you can actually see how the pigment bleeds differently into a wet surface than into a dry one. And I'm really hoping that my camel's head is dry up here, so that my sky doesn't bleed into my camel drawing. And if the edge of the camel is wet, and you paint wet, it can bleed, and like colors can they spill into each other. And sometimes those effects are really beautiful. It's more beautiful when it's intentional. I can promise you that. And the life of the pencil can return. I could, this drawing is getting drier. You can come back in with your pencil and shore up some of your lines. But at this stage, I don't know. I think I would probably just get a more fine-tuned brush and and detail some of these edges in here. But I mean, I know we started on time or whatever, but that's a nice little sketch. I'm like really happy. What do you think? Did it turn out better than you were expecting or not? What do you think, Stacy? Are you impressed? I'm not trying to wow anybody here, but I was a little scared going into it, and I think it looks like a camel. Let's see.
Excuse me. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you. I should get a little more redhead in here. It's just something about that orange that really feels kind of like a camel, like the color a camel should be, whether it is or isn't. Stace, did you sketch it? Kaya, did you sketch it? I would love to see. Are you guys in a position where I could stop to share? Yeah. All right. Let's do it. I can see you, Stace. You want to hold it up? And we'll see if Kaya, if you're ready. Close to being ready. Holy crap, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
thanks.
Really nice.
It
Really
took me a
nice.
while.
And your approach will build up over time. You know, you could do a wash over the whole thing, or you can, you know, build it up like part by part. And I think you'll find that it'll come together.
What does a wash over the whole thing mean?
So if you take like the lightest part of the camel, for example,
Mhm.
like, and just make it a light orange, even though you know it's going to go darker, you can just paint over the entire thing. So every square millimeter of the camel is painted that orange, and it becomes like a base tone, and that's your lightest color. And then you can keep adding on top of that. You know, so in one sense, you feel like it's more work has gotten done, even though you just picked one really light color and painted the whole thing. You know, it has like a unified, it has a unified shape and a unified color, and then you just
And-
modify that color continually.
So that wash that you just said is done before you add any other paint. Not
It
after.
would well, right. It would just be that one base
Like a
coat.
base,
A
almost
base
like a
coat.
base.
Yeah, a base
Okay.
coat, and then you do another base coat to another shape, and then you do another base
Mhm.
coat to another shape, and you just keep layering until you know, everything's painted.
Oh,
Interesting, right?
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I did probably 3 shapes. So I did like the light, then I did the dark, then I did the dark, and then I added some light highlights. So I really only did 4 sections of it. And I could have
Mhm.
gotten smaller brushes and done even darker darks, you know, in very specific areas, like, you know, the toes and the nose and the mouth and the eyes.
Yeah, I'm using a brush that's too big.
Yeah, that could be true.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
All right, Kai, I'm ready.
I'm not.
Well, could I see the progress thus far?
It's bad.
Is it really?
Yes.
Come
That
on.
makes me want to see it even more.
No, I'm scared. Okay. Can you see it?
I can see
Yeah.
it. Nice. It looks like he's wearing socks. Yeah, dude, that's not bad. That's great. That's great. And you're really getting the you're getting, hopefully you're harnessing the mystery and the beauty of just the randomness of the paint. You know what I mean? You know how it like comes outside the lines a little bit and then dries and then comes outside and dries. All that is just part of the beauty of watercolor. And you have to give up a little bit of control in order to, you know, to really appreciate it and achieve it. So, and it wouldn't hurt, you know, to put in some background and, you know, put it also inside of a rectangle, so you don't have to feel like you have to fill out the entire thing. Okay.
Yours looks like a greeting card, Trevor.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Really?
I pulled out, let me just put the screen share back on, because I did pull off the little chunks while I was waiting. And they make these like beautiful, almost stone-like
Yeah.
or pebble
Yeah.
pebble-like look to it.
That's
I'm
telling you.
if I was smart too, I would also, in the same breath as the long shadows from the camel's legs, some of these rocks back here would, you know, follow suit. So I could do like, you know, a cluster of rock here that has a long shadow, you know, has a light side and a shadow side. Rock, shadow side of the rock, light side of the rock, and then a shadow. So then all of the elements of the picture wind up conforming to the same lighting arrangement. You know,
So you went back in with a little bit of graphite with line work,
I
right?
just did right now.
No, I mean, oh, okay. I mean, I know you did with the rocks, but
Yeah, I haven't really gone back in with line work with the Camel, but I'm doing it as we
okay.
I'm doing it as we speak, and I think it, you know, the thing about graphite is that it can become shiny, and then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sheen when the light hits it, you know, it's like you can almost like, and it's not cheating because it's not cheating. It's just relying a lot, like a little too heavily on the drawing coming back into it, and it just shines a little bit too bright, you know, at times. So if you can make the graphite and the watercolor work, you know, God bless you. But at this point, you know, it's nicer, and I think it's, you know, kind of more, you have more cohesion when you know, what I'm doing now with the pencil just for like kicks could be done with a very fine watercolor brush, and it would be fine, and it would be better actually. This is just me being a little bit lazy, just because I want to shore up. I want to kind of shore up my sketch, but that's stupid. Not stupid. I mean, it's just it's a little bit lazy, but I want to show that you can crisp up
Yeah.
your lines, you know, post washes, you know, in watercolor.
Yeah.
Texture.
Trevor, you know the pieces of art that your sister does and sells?
Yeah.
Okay, well, just my opinion. This, hello. Just as
Yeah,
good, if not
they're
better.
just two very different styles. You're right.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, this is beautiful.
I'm glad you like it. I really enjoyed it myself.
Yeah.
Kaya, thanks for joining. Sorry if there's been some confusion about you know, classes, but as far as I know, we're on for next week. Are you good?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. Well, blessings everyone. Good luck. Good luck on camel painting.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna still
Stacey,
work
are you
on
coming
it.
in tomorrow? Or are you gonna pull an anti-dish rag?
I'm gonna come in.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to you later tonight. Kaya, thank you so much.
Okay, bye Kaya. Have a great week.
See you.
Bye. Blessings,
Thank
everyone.
you, Trevor. Call me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I will. Bye.